right?
It's nearby.
Nearby. That's nearby.
1 hour bike ride.
Oh, that's nearby. And here we the Open Society Hub for Politics of the Anthropocene, and one of our regular meetings. And this time we're discussing the Czech party politics, the relations between the Pirate Party and the Green Party. Are they separate or are they
definitely
together? Will they be together?
We'll see.
Do we need to be together? Petra is also contributing to one of the volumes that we are preparing on the Green Parties called The Tragedy of the Greens. So we will see Petra several times more in this process. Welcome.
Thank you very much. So, hello everyone, and thank you for having me here. As was said, my topic is about the Czech parties, and specifically about 2 Czech parties. It should be more for the young audience, young electorate, for which the climate change and environment issue should be probably more salient. And so this was what we were focusing on. In this study, we would like to compare the Pirates, which is currently in the parliament, and the Green Party, which is no longer having parliamentary relevance. But definitely there are some relations, and we were asking if the Pirates had some identification connected to the Green Party, if they took the issue of environment, of climate change as important, if they thought about the possible closeness of those 2 parties when defining their position towards the environment and climate change issues. And yeah, that's basically what we were focusing on. We were focusing on 2 issues actually, on the relations between the 2 parties and how this could have possibly impact on how the environment and climate change issues are developed and formulated in party manifestos. So these were our questions. These were our 2 most important topics. And yes, the question behind, the rationale behind is, yeah, those parties should probably focus the most on the young electorate. The salience of the climate change issue is increasing, especially for the young electorate. So did Pirate took something from how the Green Party was thinking and is thinking about those 2 issues. So the first bit was coming to our minds was that those 2 parties should probably be quite similar from many points of view. And the first one was that both of them were working and are working like something like the pioneers in making the new inter-party functioning in working with new inter-party infrastructure. And both of them are quite being like rebellious against the traditional mainstream political parties. So this is what was our basis of questions. Both of them are quite similar in thinking about party organization, in giving their members more power within the inter-party decision-making about the program, about the candidates. The Greens were here the first. They introduced the alternative ways of inter-party functioning. The Czech Greens, for example, have the dual-party presidency. They give, comparing to the other parties, much more power of its members in inter-party decision-making. The Pirates go even further right now. They are practically living at the intra-party online platform. For the Czech case, it's called the Pirate Forum. And the Pirate Party is deciding there about the manifestos, about the program, about the inter-party decisions, and as well about the candidates. And what's probably even more opening towards party members and towards party sympathizers is that not only the members, but as well the party sympathizers can vote about the issues and can run for candidacy. So definitely those 2 parties are somehow similar in how they think about what the party should do and how it should work internally. What's as well similar for parties, what makes them to be perceived as very close allies is that those 2 parties or party groups collaborate at the international level. The Pirate parties, the Pirate Party at the international level since 2009, since the Swedish Pirate Party was included at the international level to the Green CFA group. So this is how they are, like, at the international level, definitely perceived as very close. And the Czech Pirate Party like followed this way as well since 2019. They firstly accessed this group, and in 2024 as well, the only one European MP is the member of this European group. So at the international level, these two parties are definitely very close and can be considered as similar. The third thing, which should lead us even more deeper into the expectation that those two parties should think about the climate change and environment issues similarly, is that it is like generally expected that they aim to attract the similar electorates. This is what we know from the international comparisons. Both of those parties usually aim to attract the young electorate, the people who are quite specialists, very highly educated. Mostly those people live in cities than in the countryside, and as well those voters of both parties are usually to the tree as well as the party, not really liking the traditional mainstream parties, appraising those alternative ways of inter-party functioning. So as well, those parties are similar in many ways. So why not, or this could as well lead to some connections and similarities in how they work about the manifesto. However, thinking about the manifesto and about the electorate, we can as well find some dissimilarities, some differences, which may be quite important and which may explain that there are as well some differences in the formulation of manifestos. This is the first one. Green Party electorate is quite different from the parties because the women are like overrepresented in the electorate. The issues which the voters usually emphasize are not surprising, the issues connected to environment, climate, animal rights, and so on. And as well, they consider themselves and are considered by the scholars such as leftist voters having pro-European and post-materialist attitudes. Comparing to them, the Pirate voters, and especially the Czech Pirate voters, can be quite different. Mostly the Pirate voters are men. Even if they say that environment issue is quite important for the electorate, and some of the voters even say that environment is important for them, the most preferred issues, the most salient for them, are definitely different. They are connected to the internet freedom, to downloading freedom, to digitalization, personal freedom, privacy rights, and so on. So the biggest salience is somehow different. As well, we can consider them such as pro-European, post-materialist voters, but what we know from the studies in the Czech Republic is that in the Czech case, the Czech Pirate Party voters are not leftist, but they mostly came to the Pirate Party in the time when it was the most successful from those writers. Yeah. So this is somehow connected as well to the preferences of the voters, such as they consider themselves to be liberal or even libertarian. And it's not surprising, but could lead us to the expectation that thinking about climate, thinking about environment in the Pirate Party will probably be different because the electorates are not the same, such as it seems to be when we look on the general comparisons. We can as well add some Czech context to this general information. The Czech context definitely must be set with the information that there is the discourse about the climate change quite hostile towards thinking about fighting the climate change. It is connected to the discourse which was spread by the mainstream media, by the mainstream politicians, and by the think tanks, which is really helping to the mining industry, and which is perceiving climate change as the ideology, and fighting against the climate change is perceived as a danger for the industry and for the economy. So this is the environment and the discourse in which right now the Green Party is somehow like labeled such as two big idealists, two big ideologues, two big activists, and the Pirate Party trying to get the votes in this environment might have react on this discourse. The second thing is what was like thought, what is the perception of the Green Party right now in the Czech party environment, and it's like a general picture, not very good. It's connected to how it was in parliament, how it was in government since 2007 and until 2009. It was the part of the center-right government, which ended by disintegration. The Greens took part on this disintegration because they voted against the government in the vote of non-confidence. And as well, this government was connected to like perceptions of being corrupted and of paying the MPs to vote for their like law proposals and so on. The third thing which made probably the picture of the Czech Greens quite bad in that time was that there was a law supporting the solar panels, and who benefited from the law the most were the so-called solar barons. And yet the Greens are like the ones who are perceived such as guilty for that. So their end in the government and in the parliament was connected to this quite bad perception, quite bad labels. And it is actually the time when the Pirate Party was founded, and when they like perceive themselves such as a new, the pure party, they started to have the anti-elitist stances, and they perceived actually in that time the Green Party such as something dirty, something connected to the bad what was happening in the government. The final thing, the Pirates started to be successful after the disintegration or after the end of the Greens in the parliamentary politics. They firstly started to profile themselves such as the single issue party. Until 2017 elections, they only created the single issue manifestos, stressing the issues of digitalization, of internet freedom, and so on. Finally, after in the 2017 elections, they decided to make themselves more standard and creating the manifesto, which was focusing on more issues such as a standard political party. So since that, they were successful. They were successful once again in 2021. In that time, in the electoral coalition with mayors and the independents. And after those elections, they were invited to the government. However, right now they are not in the government because they left after they were accused that they felt into digitalization of building control. Yes, so right now they are the opposition party, and we will see what will happen. It's that their electoral support right now is around 5 to 7%. Yeah. So what to expect about how the Pirate work with the environment and climate change issue? And not much is written because it seems that it's quite a minor issue. The only paper we found was by Adam Folvarchny, who said that it seems that Pirate created themselves to be a real alternative connected to the issue of environment, which has substances connected or similar to green parties, but rather the pragmatic green parties, so the so-called realos. We wanted to know more. We wanted to know how the Pirates approach this issue, what is important for the decision making, how they approach the Green Party or the idea of the Green Party. So we were studying the literature about issue competition, and wanted to know what the literature says us about how the parties try to approach the environment and climate change issue. What we found is that the environment issue and as well the climate change issue is usually somehow out by the green parties in the party systems, and while the environment issue is something like the balance issue, so everyone wants to have a nice environment. But the climate change issue is definitely more problematic. There is more potential for the conflict, and it's because it's much more demanding to do something about the climate change. It usually expects quite huge restructuralization of the economy, of the industry, of the way of how the society is living. It expects the regulations. It expects the altruism of people to regulate themselves. So definitely, this is a stance that is not taken by all parties, but that makes some clash or some conflicts between the leftist parties who rather take the issue as important and try to apply the regulative ideas, and against the right-wing parties who rather stand at the idea that it is good how it is, the changes should be rather slow, and the market should solve the problems. The fact if the party is leftist or if the party is rightist definitely makes impact on how it approaches, especially the climate change issue. And because we know that the Pirate Party has rather right, center-right voters, and so we could expect that it would rather follow this center-right way of how to approach this issue. This is just what we found as well about the in the literature about how the left-wing parties and right-wing parties approach the issue more deeply. Usually they have common issues, probably propose even similar solutions, but they definitely frame the issue differently. So the leftist parties are more about the stronger rule of state, about the activity, civic engagement of people in the restructuralization of the industry, of the economy, and being more like having this issue as more important. The right-wing parties are more standing on the status quo and rather being slower in the changes and being more like against the regulations. So what to expect from the virus in the the first thing we were willing to know is did the relations towards the Czech Green Party, because those two parties existed in the same time for some time. Both of them were rather small. Both of them very probably realized that they are trying to attract a quite similar audience, and then the audience is probably not so big. So did they somehow compete for the issue? Did the pirates try to have the same position, so to take the attention of the Green Party voters or not? Or did they want to do it differently? So what we did was we asked the pirates, the members of the party which were included in the creation of the Environment Manifesto, as well. We asked some MPs and one European MP who was as well working with the issue of environment and climate change, and we were asking them about their relations towards the Greens and the possibility of cooperation, if they were ever thinking about electoral cooperation and so on, and how they thought about the issue. As well, we were looking on the Pirate Forum, because there is a lot of discussions as well. There is the issue of environment, and the pirates are discussing their ideas and ideas for the manifesto. And we were also adding some information about how the party leadership was declaring the relations towards the Greens. And this is what we found about how they think and how they define themselves in the relations towards the Green. Probably the pity for the Greens, or definitely the starting point for identifying the pirates in the relation towards the Greens, was the fact that the Green Party was in the government, that the government was quite unsuccessful, and that this somehow made the Green Party dirty in the eyes of the pirate. In the time when they were founded and were starting thinking about themselves, so they definitely thought about themselves such as a new party, a pure party, a party which is definitely not willing to behave such as the traditional mainstream parties. So that's why, since the beginning, they thought that the Green Party is somehow unacceptable for them, unacceptable for any partnership, and even being toxic. So that in that time they thought about themselves such as they are a good label, the pure party, but the Greens are the toxic label, and any cooperation, any closeness towards the Greens could be like the toxicity is transferable as well to the pirates, which is something which they definitely didn't want it since the beginning, and it is something which they still state, and they were stating it quite commonly, such as this was one of the most important problem for any like decreasing the distance in between them. What is the problem? What is the cause of the toxicity? Is that this is what one of the MPs told us that the Green Party, by its being within the government, like became something which the pirates like hated or didn't want to be like that. Became the traditional mainstream party. Got the sickness of the parties that all the parties which are like working in the national politics have. The sickness is connected. This is like continuation of this quote. To the perception of those politicians being corrupted. And the Paris definitely hated the idea of corruption and didn't want to be part of that, didn't want to be perceived that they are taking part at any kind of political corruption, and going closer to Greens would be like adding this odor of corruption also on them. So this was definitely the biggest problem they stressed, such as a new party, a pure party, they don't want to get dirty by the politics. Actually, in that time, because the interviews they're doing right now, or a few months ago, they as well added that, well, we were thinking like about the Greens, but right now, look at us, we are the same. And so they were like quite criticizing themselves about such as being in politics always has this negative impact on the party, even if they were very trying to not being like that. Yeah, let's go more into the program. This is how the pirates perceived the Greens since the beginning, and this is as well quite repeated by the interviews and as well by the Pirate Forum. Since the beginning, they perceived themselves and wanted to be such as they are the people who look on the data first, make the analysis, and based on the analysis, they propose the solution of the problem. And as such, they just thought that their solutions are like independent, the best what can be done with the data we have. However, looking on Greens, they just from the beginning like perceive them such as they are too blindly driven by the ecologic ideology. They are ideologists, they are idealists, they are like blind activists, and this is something what they really didn't want to be as well. They wanted to be different. They didn't want ideology driven making of manifesto or thinking about the issue of environment. This is the quotation actually from the manifesto of the pirates in one of the districts of Prague in the local elections 2016, in which they even like openly punched the Greens, saying yes, ecology is important for us as well, but we are doing it without the ideology, which is the Greens can keep the ideology. We are working differently. What is probably the problem with this ideology? What is probably the cause of this big bet is connected to the most important issue and to the stance of the pirates, such as the freedom is the most important for them. They even wanted to translate it into each part of their manifesto in 2017. And as such, any thinking about regulations and the climate change fight policy is in the vision of the Greens about the regulations. So they perceive it such as something wrong. So as such, as well, the ideology connected to the regulation is something unacceptable and problematic. And finally, this last slide or this last part is about as well the fear of being labeled toxically. They rather accepted the vision or the label of the Greens, such as they are something like the climate fanatics or environment fanatics. And this is how one of the interviews like showed what this stereotype is. So they expected that they would go closer to the Greens. They would get not only the label of being toxic and corrupted, but as well as the label of being climate fanatics, which means that those stereotype things such as gluing ourselves to the road and putting tomato sauce in the galleries and so on. So this kind of stereotype is something they connect to the Greens, and they think that if they went closer to the Greens, so they would have the same label. However, in the same time, they just realized, and they said us that this label, such as the Pirates are getting, the climate fanatics, is already used by them or used to them by the mainstream politicians, such as a political tool, political weapon, and that even if they didn't come closer to the Greens, so still right now, because they are the party which took somehow the issue of environment at the national level, so they already are labeled like that, even without that cooperation with the Greens, and they consider it such as unfair and such as something which is for them connected to the danger of the electoral damage. The third thing is we were openly asking about if there was some possibility, some discussion within the Pirate Party about the cooperation at the national level, so about some electoral coalitions. And they said us that this step was always done by the Greens and was always rejected by the Pirates. And why is it so? Those stereotypes, those fears I was just described was always like within the decision. So they expected somehow that it is not just the electoral coalition is not just counting of percentages, but that probably the voters of the Greens would be more happy with voting for Pirates than the voters of the Pirates would be happy about voting for Greens. And so they were expecting that the collaboration would be electorally damaging, as well would be like giving them giving them their enemies those weapons of labels of toxicity and fanatism, and as well they were somehow like afraid that Pirates that the Greens as the experienced politicians having better experiences with media would like make benefit from cooperation with Pirates against them. So as well, they felt that any cooperation would be risky for them and benefiting the Greens. And as well, once they tried to cooperate in 2012, they together supported one of the senatorial candidates. And once this candidates became senator, so they started to discuss of how this senator will share the information and work for the parties. And in that time, one of the negotiators was having the meeting with the Greens, and after that, he wrote into the forum that they started to being totally arrogant and started behaving such as the mainstream party. So this experience with collaboration was so bad that they decided that closer cooperation, from many reasons, is risky, and even there were the personal animosities that led to rejection of that from the side of the Pirates. And finally, because the Greens since the 2010 got a very small irrelevant party having like 2.5%. So since the Pirates started increasing in support, they never really needed the Greens at the national level to make this risky decision in their eyes and to cooperate closely in the electoral coalition. However, the story is totally different at the regional, local, and European Union level. At the regional level, local level, they are even the stable electoral coalitions repeating the cooperation. Usually, those cooperations were done with the hope to go across the electoral threshold, but as well, the respondents defended those decisions by the way that at the regional, at the local level, what is decided is when to put trees and how to decide about the public space, but the ideology is not really present in the decisions at those levels. So this is definitely more acceptable to make the coalitions here. And the cooperation at the European Union level was even apprised. The MP we were speaking with was happy with the cooperation, with the possibilities that the cooperation gives to the Pirates, but he as well stressed that they are more inclined to cooperate with the part of the party, the so-called realos, so the more pragmatic ones, the ones that are not too led by the ideology. So this ideology thing, this ideology label, is present even within thinking about the cooperation at the other levels, and it seems that it's somehow important. Yeah, the third thing or final thing I would maybe stress is that very possibly the Czech pirates have the problem only with the Czech Green Party, but not with the European level Green parties. It's connected probably to the history of the Green Party, and as well probably with the leadership and the personal animosities. So this is how the story and how the decisions went, so that they never started to cooperate at the national level. Yeah, so this was about the relations, showing that they are not so similar and they are not so approaching each other. And the final thing was the analysis of the manifestos and party statutes, and trying to look if there are some similarities or some differences in how the two parties frame the issue of environment and the issue of climate. And what we did was the analysis of manifesto statutes, and as well information gathered from the interviews. What we found is, this is from the statutes, the Green Party is definitely more, the issue of the climate, of the environment, is definitely much more important for them. This is what they want. They speak about the vision of ecological democracy, which is not only the domestic goal, but even the European and global goal for the green politics. And as well, what is the goal of them is environmental and socially sustainable society. So definitely ecology and those issues are on a very core of thinking and of the goals of the party expressed in the statutes. On the other hand, what the party statute says is that yes, there is the goal to care for the environment and sustainability and a responsible approach to the planet and climate. But what is interesting is that this part was actually added to the statutes in 2023. And since until that, the party goals were only connected to the freedom of internet and digital transparency and participatory democracy. So definitely the importance of this issue for the party, something you must agree when you want to become the party member, is different between the two parties. And it could be definitely easily explained by the fact that even if the parties say, yeah, environment is important for us, but there are other issues which are more important. What about the quantitative measures? How the two parties speak about environment, about climate in their manifestos? The green ones, the green numbers, are the occurrence of the word climate on environment for the Green Party, and the black ones are for the Pirate Party. And the first table actually shows that for the Pirate Party, the word climate on environment was totally non-existent in the first manifestos, and only started to be important in 2017, and only for the environment, and started to increase in 2021 manifesto, which was actually the common manifesto with the mayors and independents. And the huge numbers here are actually because the manifesto got like 900 pages. Yeah, so this is not really comparable. So that's why there's a second table showing the ratio of words on number of pages. And for the last year, you can see that the occurrence is very, very low, and even much lower than for the Green Party. What is as well interesting for the Green Party is the increase of the importance of climate comparing to the importance of the environment word in the manifestos. And not only this quantitative measure says as the part of the story, but as well the content of how the parties speak about those two words and those two issues. For the Greens, both of those issues are important. The environment as well as the climate, they are equally important, and they are having a different meaning. The environment is connected to like the local space, the space which is close to us, which we have like direct experience with, and it has the most important impact on the quality of our lives. Making this space better is making environmental policies. For the climate, they definitely speak about the problem of climate change, about the carbon, and about the need to fight against the climate change. Yeah, so like what we usually see in the manifestos of the Green parties. The Pirate Manifesto is definitely different in the definition of those two issues. They definitely speak more about the environment and in the same meaning, such as the Green Party defines this issue. But when they speak about the climate, so they only say there is the climate change, it has some consequences, but they don't speak about the fight against it. They always, when they speak about the climate policy, so they actually speak about the environment policy. So yeah, there is the climate change. Let's make the policies which will lead to the fact that our life space, our living space, will be acceptable, will be better for us than it is right now. But it is not about changing things to decrease the problems or to decrease the existing climate change. Yeah, so this is just the meaning. Let's how it is like. What is the content? What is the content? The framing. Actually, both of the parties speak about the same topics, such as clean energy, yeah, transport, which is environmental friendly, agriculture, water management, and so on. The Greens would speak about this topic like we would expect. So the climate change is existing. Let's speak about the danger realistically. Don't paint the situation pink. This is our commitment for our children, for future generations to fight with the climate change. And yeah, we have to make huge changes for the industry and for the economy to stop or to decrease the problems. Yeah. So what are the solutions? Definitely connected to regulations and to taxes, to huge numbers of areas within the industry and within the economy. And yeah, the economy is not the most important. Yeah. We must focus on other values than is GDP, and yeah, we must do taxation of many areas of the industry, and the restructuralization of the industry will have the negative effects. So the profits must go to the pockets of citizens and to the ones who having the biggest problems with this change of the industry. Yeah. So this is. Let's regulate. Let's tax, and let's fight with the climate change, with the restructuralization of huge sectors of industry and economy. What did the Pirate say? However, as well, they speak about similar topics or even the same topics, but the framing is definitely different. They rather speak about mitigation, about adaptations. They speak about the climate change, such as something which is the status quo. It is how it is, and let's adapt to it. Let's make the changes which will lead to our environment being better, being more acceptable, being less affecting us. Yeah. So the solutions will lead to the fact that the climate change will not impact on us, and yeah, and this will be done by those changes we want to do. Yeah, the climate change fight is not even set it here. They agree with the Green Deal, which is something they support, and they frame the Green Deal policy such as the opportunity for the economy. Yeah, so definitely the regulations is something which you won't see in the manifesto of the Pirate Party. And what is interesting, the respondents did not mention that, but this is what we found in the manifesto in the last manifesto was that they started in the last manifesto. They started to connect the issue of environment to health, the health of different kinds, such as the health of economy, public health, individual health, which is something interesting. Yeah, but generally, this is definitely different, and this is not really close to what the Green Party stresses, such as the most important. This is not expecting huge changes within the economy, and if there should be some changes, so they follow from the Green Deal, and they should be interpreted such as the opportunity. Yeah. So that would be our conclusion. From the point of the relations of the pirates towards the Greens, we can see that they, since the beginning, approach it differently. They define themselves in a sharp contrast to the Greens, such as they are non-ideologists, and the Greens are the ideologists. And yeah, they want to solve the problems with the data analysis, and the Green Party, just in their perception, just doesn't do it and only blindly follows the ecologic ideology. Yeah, so they are ideological, they are activists, they are ideologues, but they are not following the data analysis. Speaking about the seriousness of how serious pirates are about the environment climate change issue, not really. Actually, speaking about the quantitative attention comparing to the Greens, definitely the number of or the percentage of attention which is much smaller. And even if they speak about similar topics, they definitely frame it differently, more like focusing on the not being regulative, being like free in the solutions, or having freedom in the solutions. And yeah, the changes should be the opportunity. We should not like be afraid of the regulations, of the taxes, and so on. The final sentence and final thing is about the meaning of the seriousness in this topic, because yeah, the Green Party can be like saying more with the alarmist appeal that the climate change is problem and should be like we should be fighting against it, but it is not in the parliament anymore, and it seems that it is not really changing the things at the national level. On the other hand, the pirates may be more like pragmatic, not stressing, like not being alarmist. Probably they have like broader impact on the current Czech policy about those issues. So yeah, having this framing, having this point of view is probably not bad. There is a debate if alarmism makes like good work to the fight against the climate change. Probably not. So yeah, the lower seriousness in that way doesn't mean that they are doing anything or they are not doing nothing. Yeah. So that would be all from me. I will be definitely happy for any comments and questions. And I think that my colleague Milan is online, so probably he will add as well something what I don't know.
Thank you very much. Very interesting and very new to most of us. Questions, please, and suggestions. Well, tell us a little bit about the mayor of Prague, who was a pirate, and what he was actually doing. Did he do what he promised?
He was mostly focusing on the transport in Prague. Right now, he is actually the leader of the party, because after this failure with the digitalization, so the leader resigned, and he won the election of the party leader. It is actually funny probably sad, because it seems that the Pirate Party members are not very happy, or part of the Pirate Party members are not very happy, and even of the Pirate Party elites. So they are right now leaving the party and having quite negative comments about how he is right now changing the intra-party politics. He is trying to, for example, he closed the Pirate Forum for the public until like 2 months ago. It was open, transparent, totally. Anyone could come there and read what is right now doing. Right now, I had to register as a registered sympathizer to see what is happening right now in the Pirate Forum. So he's definitely making some changes, which seems to adapt the party to more standard way of inter-party functioning. And so this is the current news.
So he left the Pirate Party.
No, he's right now. You mean the mayor or the former mayor of the? No, he's right now the leader of the party.
He's the leader. Oh. So she's okay.
And we will see, like the old members, the former MPs, one of the senators the party has right now, the former European MPs are leaving the party, saying that he's like being more authoritarian, and this is something what the members like hate. So it seems that this doesn't help the party right now. It's above the threshold, but very slightly right now in the public preferences. Yeah, please.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the whole political context, especially regarding the other mainstream parties? How are they feeling about the Greens and the Pirate Party, and what is their thinking on the green agenda?
Yeah, so there are like one of the parties is called the Civic Democrats. It's a centre-right party right now, the Prime Minister Party, and probably you know, probably you don't. It's former long-time leader and the former president of this former president of Czech Republic and former leader of this party is connected to like actually defining the climate change issue in the Czech discourse, which is it is ecologism, it is the ideology, and it is here because one of the part of the argument is that the European Union wants to take from us the freedom. So it is dangerous. It is reducing our freedom. And it is something which is ideology and not the scientifically based information. Yeah, so this is how not only the former party leader, but as well, even the parties like taking this discourse. The second most important party right now is the Yes movement, called ANO, which is the business firm party owned by one of the most important businessmen in Czech agriculture and chemistry industry and so on. And as well, he is not deviating from this discourse about the environment. So the Green Party, which is right now really non-visible, is the only one which probably is like taking another stance in the public discussion. Even if the Green Deal was negotiated under the presidency of the Czech Republic in the European Union, so right now. Even the Yes movement, even the current prime minister are saying that this is something which is enforced to us by the European Union, even if they took the part on those negotiations. So yeah, it's rather safer to be against this ideology if you want to be like a strong party in the Czech Republic. Yeah, please.
Oh. Thank you very much. Nice presentation. It's more or less like a little comment or a question. What I can gain from here is that it's like both parties were using the word climate change in order to win the vote of the voters, and but one is ready to take. Pushing forward for policy to take action, while the other one, my own, the way I'm just thinking is that actually does the caliber of people in both parties also have influence on which side of action they need to take? Why am I asking this? We know in some other countries where you have majority of the people in certain parties, they are economies, people own industry, people own refineries and so on. They may not like to bring solution in terms of climate change, because when you are asking for solution, they believe that then you ask for more taxation tax from them, and which they are not ready to pay in order to solve the issue. I don't know that the same thing is happening there in Czechs too.
Sorry, could you please
the type of people in the party, do they actually also have influence in saying, okay, people that support them,
in the Pirate Party?
Yes.
Actually, there is quite the party is very liberal about who is impacting the manifesto, the environment manifesto. Actually, there is the group called Environment Manifesto Part, and everyone who is somehow interested can go there and discuss the topics. Then they have like meetings when they write the manifesto, and usually there is one guarantor who writes it finally. There are some intra-party discussion, and there is the some marketing team which says, yeah, this is too long and so on. But actually the party members are the ones who discuss the topics and who they're working on the part of the manifesto, and they are the other groups on industry, on waste management and so on. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. But they are mostly the people who were included into the group were the people somehow connected. For example, professionally with the topic of environment or waste management, mostly the guys we were speaking with, they just like, I think one or two told us that the waste management was the most important part of the group, people who are working on this. So as well, the waste management was one of the most important topic in the environment manifesto part. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. How it worked until now, it seems that definitely the party members had a huge impact on it, but it seems to be changing with the new leadership. And as well, this was one of the things they complained, such as we were working on manifesto, but the party leadership stopped it, and right now we don't know who is working on it now. Yeah, so this is changing. Probably the party is really moving to some standard way of inter-party functioning.
To bring the conversation back to the level of ideology a little bit, and I was thinking as you were speaking about the idea of Czech nationalism, which is very strong in Czech politics right now. And I wanted to ask you at a personal level if you think that the problem here is that Czech nationalism is so connected to Czech Republic as an industrial country.
Connected to like the Euroscepticism, or
Connected to the Euroscepticism and connected to the fact that the Czech economy is going so well right now, for example, lowest unemployment in Europe and stuff, and that there is too much to
totally
lose.
attached to Germany, so it's like coming down right now. Probably in the discourse about the climate change and yes, such as this is not a problem. It's connected to the fact that the people who are in this industry are like having good relations towards the politicians. I don't know if probably the Conservative Party, the Civic Democrats, are taking nationalism as an issue. I think if the youth movement, probably especially when criticizing the European Union as this national issue is taken. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for your presentations. They're interesting. My question is actually about the like sort of narrative framing around this like pragmatism. Would you say that like basically because the Greens have subsided and because the Pirates have like just like the third strongest party in the parliament, is that like would you say that is like a legitimate strategy that could be applied to like an international context and other parties that are pro-environment, or do you think that is like a specific, I guess, I don't know, circumstance that has occurred over the past whatever how many years, specifically in Czechia?
Sorry.
Like in terms of just this pragmatic approach of like, I would say like framing their rhetoric and procedure about like the policies around like, very tangible goals as opposed to the sort of, I guess, like lofty idealism that most Green parties share internationally. Do you think that that's like unique to Czechia, or do you think that like this pragmatism could be applied and maybe like efficaciously, I guess, promote these policies in a more international context?
I'm not sure if I got it. I would say that please tell me if I'm not answering the question. I would say that the rest of the parties are, if they are speaking about the environment, so it's like, it should be good. But climate change is not the topic, and the pragmatism is. When I was talking about pragmatism, it was being very. And right now I'm not sure when I was talking about it. Probably with, I don't know.
But I think the question was more about whether the approach of the pirates is transferable to other countries, in your opinion.
In terms of like more so less like their I guess their rhetoric and their framing is like, because most Green parties obviously are like very climate alarmist and like we need to, it's very apocalyptic, the language, whereas they are much more focused on, especially with like the radical flank that you mentioned, of course, with like throwing soup on the paintings and like pulling themselves to, and like that's is perceived as often as like almost detrimental to like the green movement in general. And so I guess yeah, my question is more like, okay, do you think this like pragmatic approach more so that's more tied to like specific
I think
policies?
it's even probably something like this is the mainstream, no? Speaking about environment climate in this way. And the Green Party is something like standing apart of. I would say that the mainstream party will not deviate more from what the pirates say, but they will maybe neglect the issue even more. And this is probably even international thing. I don't know in the other countries, but I would expect it. Yes,
I
please.
think we have somebody online. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Online.
that's my colleague.
Yeah, okay.
He will probably add something. What shall I do?
Is she just talk?
Hi.
Yes.
Well, yeah. If I understood well the last question actually, and I can contribute a little bit to the answer. I guess that the pragmatism is basically a strategy that could work in the discourse in the Czech Republic, or let's say in the context of the Czech Republic and what the climate means to Czechs, as already has been said, the climate and all the stuff related, and especially climate policies, Green Deal, and all this is actually something that is not well accepted in the Czech Republic. The discourse is really hostile to all these policies. So if you frame it more in, look, it's something, well, the climate is already changing, and we're not saying basically, or not, we do not want to really emphasize that the climate is the change, but we say, okay, the temperature is raised from, let's say, usual 20 degrees in the summer to 25. And what we witness is kind of a overheated cities. So what you want to have, of course, is to the better life within these overheated cities. So we need to somehow focus on having better life if these temperatures raises a lot. So that's how we approach the electorate. That's how we approach the people that, look, we can do something to reduce these at least consequences of the raised temperatures, but you won't say the climate, because when you mention the climate, basically it would mean to all those people, look, it's a bit problematic topic, because we all know that it might be really ideological, and it can be about regulations, it could be about taxation and all the stuff related. So I think that they really took this pragmatic way of discussing this topic simply because they want to somehow contribute, and they find this as a possible way. That's one part of the answer. The other one would be, and it's closely related to what we've mentioned, and that they really think about themselves, I mean pirates, as the party and those people that really rely on the database policies and politics, right? So when they make decisions, they always want to support it with some data. And when they speak about the Greens, they said, look, they are those who come from the various civil society organizations, right? NGOs that really discuss climate, and they understand these people as activists, right? So not the ones that really work with the data, but rather those who are ideological and approach the climate again in terms of ideology. So I guess that they really found out, or they think, look, this is the only way how we can make some changes. If we really start to discuss these matters in terms of climate, we won't have any kind of an influence. And also perhaps our partners within the government, or let's say in the parliament, would then not speak to us in relation to these topics.
Thank you. I don't think I phrased that very well, but thank you.
Excuse me, was it helpful? I'm not really sure.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you very much for your answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, my question would be sort of on the border of this, and that is in how far, if you have any data on that, the Pirates manifesto, as in this very pragmatic way, is similar in other countries as well, like as in Germany, or on the other side in Slovakia, and if there are any differences, and also the relation of these Pirates Party to the Green parties.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm supposed to answer, am I right?
If you have something to add, but I don't think so. If we didn't analyze the manifestos of other pirate or green parties, so
Or
oh no.
or maybe out of your gut feeling, if you could say anything, since you spent so much time on the particular case of Czech Republic and also maybe on the EU national level, as you mentioned, that they are willing to cooperate with the Green Party.
It was funny. The European Union MP told us that he was much more like to cooperate with the Dutch and German Greens, such as he considered them the rebels, the ones who are pragmatic and so on. And he even said, we were asking him if the Greens were able to change his thinking about the environment or climate change. And he said, not really change the thinking, but they really broadened me the picture of what is possible. I didn't know about many things in the industry, in the small business, and the green, what is it? Innovations that are possible, such as in the Netherlands. He was speaking about the case of the Netherlands, and he was like, yeah, that was like opening my mind about this, and this is like how he was able to, yeah. So this cooperation is probably, yeah, as well once again connected to the non-ideological part, to the pragmatic part. Yeah, he much more like this. Yeah, they gave me the reports, they gave me the data, and so this is how I liked it. Yeah, so this is for what I know about them at the international level.
What are the positions of the pirates and the Greens on nuclear energy?
The Pirate Party, I think they don't like it. But this is one of the clashes why a part of the Pirate Party members were like, yeah, this is the topic which is totally conflictual for us. We are for the nuclear energy. Yeah, so they are like different views.
You mean the Greens or
The Pirates? The Pirates like the
Pirates.
energy, and the Greens don't.
The pirates like
Mhm.
energy and want to continue,
Yeah.
and the Greens, like the German Greens, they don't want to. They want to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And there was another thing, and as well, this European MP told us, such as he just said that the way of how we are thinking about the nuclear energy is like yeah, I don't know the word, such as we are thinking about it in the old way. The nuclear energy is expensive, but yeah, it is continuing to work, and they are not going against that. But like having the information from the German Greens, he just said that yeah, there are definitely more cheaper ways of making the energy, and even innovative. But he was like what is the word? Oh, sorry, he was persuaded that this is not something which would be changed in the Czech decision making. So they are like not against. This is the topic which they differ.
Actually, just a follow-up question, and in the aspect of context of pirate party, they believe that they are the one using data compared to Green Party. I think this is a little bit different from the knowledge I have from some other country where you have Green Party, and Green Party will be telling other parties that, look, we have the data relating to climate change, long-term data, but here now in Czech, does that mean that Green Party, they don't base their argument on data at all?
No, it just means that this is what the party think about it.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
they always, like, when writing manifesto, the manifesto is always referenced with the reports, with the data.
Okay.
And this is like what they want to present themselves. And probably it's as well connected to their personal experiences, such as they felt like they are activists, they are ideologues, not like the closed minds, not able to change their minds, even upon presenting the data. So that's why this is a perception which is, however, very stable among the pirates at the forum, and it was very stable in the interviews. but well, this was probably for the Czech Greens. At the international level, this doesn't apply. Yeah, this European MP just was like speaking about the other Greens. Like they are those who opened me the information about and will give me the data, the reports and so on.
I think Milan wanted to also add a little.
Someone would say, no, please.
Yeah. If I may also, well, regarding the nuclear energy, if I remember well, in these programs, well, the Greens one are mostly against it, and they really put emphasis on we can't build any new nuclear reactors and this stuff, while Pirates are quite open to it. But what they do basically is that currently we're having a big discussion, and let's say the kind of a extension of one of the current nuclear reactors in the Czech Republic is basically going on, and they quite a lot of discuss this topic, but not in relation to let's say the origin of the energy, that is the nuclear reaction, but what they rather discuss is kind of a corruption that might be behind it, and the other thing that it's really expensive, while there are much cheaper, let's say, solutions that would also bring, let's say, some improvement and opportunity for Czech business as well. While if we are about to extend the current nuclear energy, we need to always cooperate with US, France, or Korea, which have the knowledge how to build nuclear power plants, which we don't have. So that's why they are doubting, let's say, the current problem, but not because of they're against the nuclear energy, but rather because they're not sure about the process and, let's say, the price for it. That's one. And the other one was related, and now I may have forgotten, but that was the question on, sorry, I forgot it, but if I remind myself, sorry.
So thank you for the addition. I don't know.
I would like to ask a follow-up question on the nuclear reactors. I think your colleague has briefly mentioned it, but especially when we're talking about the new generation of nuclear reactors, there's a whole discourse on nuclear fusion energy and how this might solve a lot of climate-related issues, etc. Is this also part in the discussion of the Pirates and the Green Party, or is it more focused on traditional, let's say, that were originally constructed during the Soviet Union nuclear reactors?
Mostly it's about the old ones, about the, yes. And Pirates, actually, in their manifesto, they mentioned that that's rather the way to build these new small, modular reactors, or I don't know whether the same works in English as well, the same title, but they mention it, but the Greens, no, they categorically just say no to nuclear energy. That's not the future.
You have recently actual climate connected natural disasters, like we had big flood here in Vienna in September.
Yeah.
Did you have, or Czech Republic was
we
like
had
that?
a lot of floods. It was in September, I think, September 2024.
Ah, that was the same.
It was, I think, a week or 2 weeks before the regional elections. Yeah. And there were some in one of the or a few villages were damaged because there is not the the reservoir, and which was blocked by the activists. So yeah, it like added some negative perception on this green activist way of stopping some things that may be helpful in those disasters. Yeah.
So there was some political response to it. To this.
And I would say there was a discussion. Right now, it seems that the reservoir will be built. So, so this kind of reaction. Actually, it was a question if the floods will somehow influence the results of the regional elections, and because of the even the opposition parties and even the government parties thought that the reactions of their mayors, of their councils of the regions was like the reaction was good. They were visible everywhere and trying to help and to solve the situations. So they didn't postpone the elections, and because it's usually in the Czech Republic is the midterm election, so the opposition mostly won in those elections. And some of the mayors were like very visible and in those regions which are hard hit, so they got quite good results. Yeah, so it was rather like some of the part of the campaign to be visible during the floods.
And both parties were active in the debate, or that were only the Greens who were active in the party?
It were some local activists actually regarding that. I remember. So it was not like getting to like damaging the image of the Greens, but rather the broader image of the activists.
Anything else, guys? Yeah, please.
I just have a question / comment. The other thing that I was thinking of in terms of the equilibrium in the Czech party system, I was asking if you could possibly say a few words about the emergence of the motorists party in Prague, because I think it's pertinent to the discussion at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think
Which party?
Motorists party, like car drivers.
Oh, that is a new one?
It's a new one and it's only in Prague.
no,
Now it's national. Now
it's starting to have the national relevance. I think they are getting in the public preferences. They are getting like 5% more. So it seems that they are electable right now. And here they are the Eurosceptic party against the Green Deal party. Because maybe Dylan will say more, but they definitely took the issue of Green Deal is rejecting the possibility to have the cars and to drive. So and they are mostly attracting the young people. So it seems that this like hostile environment toward the climate issue is having this expression as well in the Czech politics. It is we have right now like quite a lot of small extreme right parties, which as well take the Euroscepticism connected as well to the Green Deal. But this one is like very connected to this issue. Mel, would you add something about that? Yeah.
I just wanted to say, these motorists, they do present themselves as really the anti-Europeans, and what they mostly do is that they really put emphasis on that the European Union is kind of a dictatorship. They quite often compare it to the previous non-democratic regime and let's say the supremacy of the Soviet Union. And what they especially rely on is that their leader, at least the one that received a seat in the European Parliament, is a former car driver, or what is it called, a car pilot, whatever, right? He used to do car racing, and he really stressed the thing that, the EU shouldn't put ban on the fuel cars or fuel engines in cars. We can't rely on the electrical cars. And this is something that is really difficult to somehow get with numbers, with the hard data, but it's part of the discourse and kind of a part of a certain symbol, basically. So the car for Czechs is a symbol of freedom. So whenever you want to somehow reduce, for example, car traffic, you want to reduce cars from entering, let's say, the cities, it's always something that would bring a lot of discussion, and that would be really bad for the party or for the guys that want to put ban on these cars, because really the car for Czechs is a symbol of the freedom, of the regained freedom of 1989. So it's somehow, if you mention this, it really has a certain reaction, right? And people really react to it and start to listen. And what they say is, this makes sense. This is something that is reasonable, right? to have still the cars because they bring us to our work, they bring the children to the schools, and this kind of a discourse. So it seems to be something that made them quite visible in the Czech discourse, and why they are also now over the threshold and perhaps will receive seats in the parliament.
It's the same in Austria, such as the car, like this identification of freedom.
I mean, maybe if I can comment as Austrian, we do have a motorist party which is extremely small. I think there are about 150 members that voted for them, so they're nowhere near having any political power. But I think the crucial difference between Austria and Czech Republic is in the history of the automotive. Czech Republic always had Škoda Automotive, which is a form of national identity, and therefore, especially in the political context, if you're trying to take that away, it's way deeper ingrained than, let's say, in Austria, where we still have a huge automotive culture, which is more based on these companies that deliver to car makers. So a lot of cars are produced here, but there is not this identity that is connected to it when it comes to Austrian citizens. So I think that in particular with Škoda and everything and the factories and the educational system around it, they have their own university, etc., it's way more prevalent there.
But if I may ask, or we've noticed actually that if I'm right, in Steinmark, right, the OHPA now is about to, let's say, how should I say, related to the IGL zone. So they want to basically get rid of these, so increase the speed from 100 to 130 at the motorways. And also my colleague, who is actually present in the room, he sent me a picture of a poster that was saying, look, we are about to, in a way, not put a ban on banning cars or something like that. If well,
it's the poster that you see here in the street from the Volkspartei. Auto verbieten, verboten. So forbidding auto, forbidden.
Yes, I mean, of course, there's also a connection to the citizen, to Austria as a car nation, I think, as in many European countries. But this is in particular prevalent in these FPÖ, like the sort of like correlation of AfD, the right-wing parties who also in their electoral turn had changed the speed limit to 140 kilometers an hour as just a proof that, yeah, similar context like we see also in Czech Republic. So yes, of course, there is this notion, yet I think this pure identity as the motorists demonstrate in Czech Republic, we don't have that to this extreme here. But again, I mean, this also has a lot to do with this urban city split, of course.
But honestly, I'm not really sure. You mentioned that the Czechs have, for example, Škoda, right? And
Yes.
of course, that's true. But honestly, I'm not sure whether it is somehow related to what I mentioned, actually, because what I think that has been really like emphasized in relation to Škoda, that like in early 90s, Škoda was basically privatized and bought by Volkswagen. So it's always part of the Volkswagen. And usually, if you read an article on Škoda, you would usually read that in relation that Škoda is somehow, for example, performing well or bad in the Volkswagen group, being compared to Volkswagen and Seat or so. So I'm not really sure. It's a good question, actually, how much this, let's say, national threshold, as they used to call it, but perhaps it's more beer. The Pilsner beer is more considered to be a threshold, some treasure, national treasure. So I'm not really sure about how this really connects to it, but cars like really the symbol of freedom. I guess it's really strong in the national discourse. But that's kind of an invitation for me to maybe focus on how Škoda is making a contribution to this love of the cars of Czechs.
I mean, maybe just a short response to that. of course, Škoda is integrated in the Volkswagen Group. Nonetheless, even in the trams in Prague or in Brno, you will also have the Škoda sign there. So it's still very visible to the public. And I think, therefore, this connection still might be there and this national identity, so to say.
I see. But the thing is also that there was many different factories that was called Škoda. So it was not Škoda Mladá Boleslav, former Lauren and Clement was the automotive, but there was the heavy industry was Škoda. So for example, in Pilsen, there is a huge factory which used to be Škoda. It's not Škoda anymore. But for example, they produce the heavy machinery for the nuclear reactors, as well as they produced locomotives, which mean trains, right? And also other heavy industries all around the Czech Republic. So it's not just, for example, trams, but it's not related to Škoda Automotive. Just it's a different brand. I think that people like the older generation, they know well. The young one, I guess, don't know about that. But the thing is whether they connect it to just one, let's say, trademark. I'm not sure about that. But yeah.
So car is a symbol of freedom, right? For Czechs. But say for the pirates, it should be a computer that is the symbol of internet. Connected computer. Right?
For pirates, it's basically sharing. Like one of those web pages that you use to share files. It could be the former Uložto, which was basically kind of a save it, like the literal translation would be save it, and this was a cloud for sharing, and Czechs used to share via this one movies, of course, the pirate copies of the movies, of the books, of the various other documents, but I guess this is the symbol for pirates.
Information sharing is freedom, but car sharing is not.
No, Karin, no, of course not.
Well, of course. All right. Anything else?
Yes. Thank you very much for questions, for discussion.
And there is a little reception next door, right?
Yeah, well, just to the left.
Over there. Everyone is welcome.